Hi, everyone. Welcome back to our mini series. We had a little bit of gap in recording from episode 1 and 2, but we're excited to be back to record this next episode with for you guys. Just a brief recap for episode 1. We were talking about a little bit about why we took a bit of a hiatus over the summer, how we started realizing that walking through motherhood was becoming more, we were feeling that it was becoming more of a ministry, not just a podcast. There was a lot more to it. So we wanted to take some time to build a solid foundation in God's word and to really be intentional about all the exciting things we're working on that y'all will be seeing soon. But today for episode 2, we want to talk about the 5 foundations. This is one of the things we have been working really hard on. But I'm getting ready to start. So, if you've ever wondered where to start in your walk with the Lord and within your home, motherhood, homeschooling, any of those things, this framework is something that we have recognized within our own walks through motherhood that we feel the Lord has been using to shape our own hearts.
Yeah. And there's so many resources out there. One of the things that we realized was all these resources are great. I mean, there's, tools on organization in the home and, how to help your marriage or how to discipline your children and productivity and routines and schedules. And all of these things are so great. But unfortunately, motherhood is not just lived in these neat little categories of, okay, I'm going to organize my home and now I'm going to focus on this. We're doing all of it all day long, every day. So we realized that there are seasons in our motherhood, and there are some seasons where we feel like we're really on top of things. And there were some
Mhm.
seasons where we were like, we are drowning. And we know other moms are feeling like that too. We realize that women don't just need more information, but they need a way to discern what God is actually inviting them into in the season that they're in.
Yeah, so we started recognizing there was kind of almost these reoccurring themes we kept noticing within motherhood over and over again, and things that we kind of kept coming back to. And it wasn't until we started kind of talking more with each other that we started recognizing that we both were seeing these patterns, even within different, seasons of motherhood. And so there's 5 of them. The first one of the 5 foundations that we've noticed was root. This is the most important one that we've noticed. And it is like the foundation for everything else, which is returning to Christ, getting in his word, and just before you start trying to build systems, disciple your kids, when things start feeling like they are going crazy and you are completely out of control, or just a new thing happens and when you feel like you got in a stride, things start feeling like they're falling apart. We recognize if we try to do anything else before getting in his word, spending time with him in prayer, it wasn't working out for us. But if we did do that, if we did get rooted in his word, all of a sudden we had more discernment. He was giving us more wisdom to make these decisions on the things that we were trying to do within our home, within disciplining our children, etc. So the first foundation is root. That was like the one thing we kept noticing over and over again. The next one we noticed is once when we would get back in his word and when we would start spending more time with him in prayer, we started having more discernment and we started realizing it was easier for us to reset our minds, to renew our minds, and to let go of our ambitions and ideas of things of how we thought things should work and allow God to realign the priorities of our lives to his and not our own. And then it's easier to have discernment and recognize things that aren't serving your family anymore, whether it's habits, whether it's routines, rhythms, maybe curriculum, whatever it is. You start having more discernment to be able to make those decisions. And it doesn't feel as overwhelming because you have discernment from the Lord. And you have more grace for yourself when you make those decisions. So then, after we're doing those things, the next foundation is build. So we notice that once we're in God's word, we're, in like prayer with him, we have a renewing of our mind. We're able to make, have more clarity and discernment and decisions we're making. Then once we've done those things, it is so much easier for us to start adjusting habits, routines, systems within our home. And being able to create more intentional rhythms within our home. So the third foundation is build. And then just the fourth is disciple. So once we've done all those three things, we're working on all these three things, then you're in God's word, you have you're writing it on the tablet of your heart, you have it on your mind, you have a renewing of your mind, able to reset expectations, you have more grace and you're striving to do God's will instead of your own. Then you're building these systems that serve your family. You're not serving the systems, they're serving you and these rhythms. Then when you're doing all those things, discipling your children, I'm never going to say the word easy, but it's so much more intentional. It's so much more purposeful. It's so much more easy to have discernment on what to do in situations, what to say. It's like truly, I believe when you're in his word comes to you in those moments of discipling your children, and you're able to speak his truth and love into your children. So and then it's just so much easier to point your children to Christ every day and every little decision they make. And so the fourth one was disciple. And then the last one is flourish. So flourish is kind of the times where, like, not that you have it all together necessarily. It's more you're able to step back and see the fruit that God's been producing through these trials and these hard seasons. And we come and go within all of these. So, but just flourishes when we're able to see this fruit. We learn contentment and thankfulness for seeing how he's taken us through these hard times, and appreciate and be thankful for this time of calm and contentment, and then celebrating his faithfulness. And it's easier to trust his timing when those hard times come. Again, we can see how he was faithful and brought us through it. So, five foundations. I'll just say 'em one more time really quick. It would be root, reset, build, disciple, and flourish.
And
So,
these foundations, they're not meant to be like a personality type or a
no.
title or some kind of identity that you associate with. It's really just a lens that you can understand better the season of life that you're in, the
Yeah.
season of motherhood that you're in. And it's a pathway to, with a goal in sight and understanding that each place serves a purpose. It's not that rooted is the least best. In fact, rooted it is the most important one. But
Yeah.
it's a place to start. It gives you a
Yeah.
starting point and a path
Yeah.
to go along that makes these seasons feel more just doable.
Yeah.
So,
And I think it's important to mention we're talking about these five foundations. These are not like a stair step, like, oh, we made it to flourish, we're done. This is like you are going between, we've noticed in our own lives, we are going between these things constantly. Sometimes we're in flourish for a while and then we're going straight back to rooted. Sometimes we only go back a little bit, but like ultimately, the biggest takeaway I feel like I want people to understand is the rooted is the most important part. If you're trying to disciple your kids, build routines or rhythms, reset your mindset, or if you're flourishing and you're wanting to help within your community or whatever, if you're not rooted in his word, any of these things you're striving to do, there's going to be disappointment. There's going to be discouragement. There's going to be um, feeling like you're drowning and failing. Those are going to come because you have to be rooted in his word first. So I want to like reiterate, like, these are
yeah.
things you go between, and rooted is the most important.
Yes,
So,
absolutely. And all of this, the five foundations, we are going to be covering in podcast episodes. So, do you want to kind of explain to everybody
yes.
how this is going to work with our social media? And
So, the first episode or series we're going to do is called, I'm so excited about.
I know.
We're very passionate about this series in particular. It's called the Motherhood Reset.
Yes.
And we're going to be walking y'all through how to apply these foundations in all the areas of motherhood that we deal with. And so I'm really excited about that. But everything we are going to be creating, whether it's podcast episodes, planners, devotionals, homeschool resources, printables, Bible studies, all of it, everything we create is going to connect back to those five foundations. So the more we go through this, the more you're going to see how everything's connecting. And our purpose in that is because we're trying to design something and create this ministry that helps women to faithfully follow Christ in every season that they're in, and not just in the ones they wish they were in. So just acknowledge where you're at. And then hopefully these resources and the scriptures that we show y'all and just all the things will help you to recognize what season you're in and to be able to, we'll just walk with you through it and keep pointing you toward Christ while we do that.
So, as we close this mini episode, we just wanted to ask you guys and encourage you to reflect a little bit and ask yourself, where do you feel like you're at right now with God? What foundation that we've talked about feels most relevant to you and the season that you're in? And what do you feel like God is growing in you right now or working on in you right now? And we would love to hear your thoughts, your responses. Just feel free to comment or on the video, whether it's on Facebook or Instagram or YouTube, wherever you're finding this. Comment and or shoot us an email, and we would love to hear from you guys.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks y'all so much for joining us, and stay tuned for episode 3, the last episode of the mini series.